Welcome to Inside Medical Malpractice. This subject fascinates everyone everywhere because it affects everyone everywhere. My name is Chris Rokosh. I'm a registered nurse, legal consultant and educator, and the president of Connect Medical Legal Experts. Medical malpractice affects patients, families, nurses, doctors, midwives, healthcare institutions, the associations that define medical standards, lawyers, and the general public. Each month, we'll be looking at malpractice issues from different perspectives, featuring honest, candid, insightful interviews by people and professionals with a wealth of information to share. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's dive into this fascinating subject. Hello, I'm Chris Rokosh of Connect Medical Legal Experts, and today I'm here with Richard Halpern, a lawyer from Thomson Rogers in Toronto. And we're going to talk to Richard a little bit just about himself and let him introduce to you, the audience, who he is and what makes him tick. So Richard, just talk to us first about the work that you do every day.
Well, I'm a medical malpractice lawyer. I represent patients only in medical malpractice claims. And I have a particular interest in birth trauma. So these are cases where children have been injured at or around the time of birth. I've been doing this stuff now for almost 4 decades, not quite 4 decades, but over the course of those 30 plus years, I've spent a lot of time thinking about and analyzing issues that involve children hurt around the time of childbirth. I've done an enormous amount of research. I've had a lot of discussions with medical experts about these important issues. In some sense, I've taken on the medical community on some of these issues and some of the papers that I've written on the subject. And I've written quite extensively on how and when babies get injured in childbirth. So I spent a lot of time on that. And over the years, probably over the last 20 years or so, I've tried to focus my practice not entirely on birth trauma cases, but mostly on birth trauma cases. And over the course of those years, I've also had an opportunity to interact with some of Canada's other great malpractice lawyers across the country, really, from British Columbia to the Atlantic provinces. And we meet regularly to strategize and talk about birth injury cases, and we formed an alliance called the Birth Injury Lawyers Alliance, where we really talk about our cases. We educate each other on the medicine, we challenge each other, we review each other's cases, and the objective is to really ensure that all of our clients are getting the absolute best representation in the most challenging, I have to say, the most challenging medical malpractice cases in terms of the medicine. So it's been very rewarding.
So I heard you say the word challenging 3 or 4 times in that last 60 seconds of your conversation. And I have no doubt that you have chosen a challenging subsection of a very challenging profession, an already challenging profession. What are the things that keep you up at night?
Well, because of the complexity of these cases, I'm a bit of a type A personality where I have to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. And what keeps me up at night is making sure I don't miss anything for my clients. All of the cases that I handle are obviously extremely important to my clients. And I have to make sure that I just cover all the bases to ensure that their interests are properly represented in a lawsuit. It's a lot of responsibility. They're big losses, they're profound injuries, and I feel a lot of responsibility in making sure that my clients are looked after. That can result in a lot of sleepless nights.
I'm sure it can. So after, you said 4 decades?
Almost. Let's not age myself too much.
You said it. I didn't. You said it. So after 4 decades in a very tough profession, what keeps you going?
Well, I've told you this before. It's my babies need me. So it's not my own children, but it's the babies I represent in these cases.
That's touching.
When you spend this much time on these kinds of cases and you develop a certain level of skill, it's not something you want to abandon or walk away from. I have no intention of stopping.
Ever?
Ever. As long as I'm healthy and I can do it, I'll continue to do it, because I think that I've developed this knowledge base and I've developed a rapport, not just with my legal colleagues across the country, but many in the medical profession who I rely on to support my cases. We've got great relationships. We work well together. I think we're really advancing the interests of people who are injured in these cases. But I think even more importantly, I think that what we do in representing these patients helps to improve medical care. I think it brings morbidity down. I think it brings mortality down. I think that there are lessons to be learned from bad outcomes that will improve healthcare. And my message isn't to get more cases. I'd like there to be fewer cases. And I'd like my work to result in fewer cases. I'd like nurses and doctors to think more about the quality of care that they're providing to their patients, so that we improve patient safety, which is one of the functions of the tort system, of what we do in civil litigation. One of the functions, it's not just about compensation. It's about deterring bad behavior or encouraging good behavior. And I think that medical malpractice case is a very important component of the learning experience.
Well, thank you for that. It's been a pleasure getting to know a little bit more about you. And carry on. Thank you for the good work that you do.
Thank you.